So our next speaker is Stan Ehrman with Riley Creek Blueberry Farm in Laclede, Idaho. And welcome, Stan.
Thank you. It's only 4:45. You guys are getting me early here.
We are.
I'm not done with my bologna sandwich yet.
Oh, darn.
Actually, no, I'm ready to go. Thank you very much for having me be one of your presenters. As far as I'm concerned, the business planning aspect of any business, whether it be a small farm or running a restaurant or a plumber or whatever, is probably, besides, except for putting out a good product, it is the single most important facet of having a successful business. I would like to thank Barbara. Again, we've been doing this for 20 years. I've had a business plan for 22 years. It wasn't called a business plan when I started. It was just a way to, it was a big plan to convince my wife that I could do this. But just listening to somebody else that has doing it or has an expertise in the field, for me today, I was able to pick up some things that I don't do that I can do. But more importantly, I was able to reinforce some of the things that I am doing. And when you're out here in the trenches, when you're out at the farm, when you're doing what we do, whether you're a farmer or whatever, you make a lot of decisions and you think they're the right decisions, but until you have reinforce those decisions from other people saying, yeah, I do that too. That's very important, and it adds a lot of confidence to the things that we do out here. So as mentioned, we're Riley Creek Blueberry Farm. We're located in Laclede, Idaho, which is near Sandpoint in North Idaho. We're about 10 or 12 miles out of town. We started our farm about 20 years ago. We've been in production for 20 years. We bought approximately 20 acres out here at that time. Bare land. There wasn't a building. There was nothing but a hayfield. We are farming approximately 7 of those acres. As of last year, we harvested and produced over 65,000 pounds of berries last year, all on our farm. All of them were marketed locally, still marketing them locally because we have a frozen market now. But I want to preface what I'm saying that the business is doing well. We're meeting a lot of our goals, but it was a long, hard road to hoe. The first 8 to 10 years, we were, and this was in our business plan to begin with. If we could just break even, we would be doing well, and that's what we did. And at some point, we knew we needed to start making some money. By we, I mean my wife, because she was pretty much financing the rest of our lifestyle with her job. So we needed to show that we were making. We not only show that we needed to do it to make some money. So we've been very lucky. The blueberry market has been strong. We were kind of lucky to kind of drop into that market, but we've also done a lot of work marketing and contributing to the success of blueberry sales here in North Idaho. Quick background: I grew up in Northern California in the 60s. My dad was a large apple farmer. I had a background in agriculture. He didn't have a business plan. He didn't have a marketing scheme. At that time, it was basically all volume. He had over 2,000 acres of apples. If there was a lot of apples, the price was low. If there weren't very many apples, the price was high. He had a bank loan, a harvest loan every year, and I could almost always remember when during the harvest he met that loan. He did keep good enough records, or at least the bank did, so that he knew when the loan was paid off. Some years it never did get paid off, and it would carry over to the next season. We as kids would know that it got paid off because we'd know by Christmas time what we got for Christmas. But I learned an awful lot of business planning and farming techniques from my dad. I did go into education after college. I taught school for approximately 18 years. And you don't need to do a lot of business planning when you're in when you work for somebody else. And I think most people out there, most of us have started our working career working a job where you just get a paycheck, and while you have to budget what you're spending, we don't have to budget, so to speak, what's coming in. You know what's coming in every month. So there's a monthly paycheck or biweekly paycheck, and we basically spend all of it. But we can't really control that unless we try to find another job. So when you move to private business, whether it be a blueberry farmer, a rancher, a plumber, or an electrician, things change, because now you don't have a steady monthly income. You have to create that income, and you have to not only control your expenses that you had to do before, but now you have to control how am I going to get that money to come in to pay the bills and the expenses that I have incurred, not only in my personal life, but for my business. I spent probably almost 2 years researching not only the growing of blueberries, but the marketing and what it would cost to make this endeavor work. I put together a 10-year plan. This was in 1992, I believe, and I still have that 10-year plan that would show what our expenses were, what our income could be derived during each year during that 10-year period. And I was able to get those numbers because of the research I did. I did a lot of reading. There wasn't really the internet stuff going on. If there was, I didn't know how to do it. But I traveled around, found blueberry farmers, usually on the Oregon coast, Washington coast, where I would just walk up onto their farm and introduce myself. In all cases, they were nice and friendly, and I would pick their brain, not only about growing the blueberries and not only selling the blueberries, but how many pounds do you get per plant? How much fertilizer do you use? When the plants were 3 years old, what can I expect after 5 years? What can I expect after 7 years? So, as Barbara mentioned earlier, you need to arm yourself with as much knowledge as you possibly can. And I also want to say, not only arm it in the beginning, but you have to constantly re-educating yourself and be open-minded and look at all avenues in your business. I think a lot of people make the mistake of sitting tight, of sitting and going, well, this is working pretty good. I'm not going to make any changes. You don't necessarily need to make changes, but you need to look at changes and be open to the idea that if things kind of change and go sideways on you, you can adapt to those. An example I'll give of that is in my plan, we had anticipated raising our prices. This is just an example. About 5 years ago, we hadn't raised them for about 4 years, and according to our projections, it was time to raise our prices for our blueberries per pound. 3 to 4 years ago, that's when the recession hit very hard, and we didn't feel that it would be a wise decision to raise our prices. So we didn't. We are this year. For those of you out there, they're going to be buying some blueberries, but we didn't for 4 years. So we had to make adjustments in our expense column, as Barbara puts it, and also in our income column. How could we increase our income, because our other expenses were still going up. I was paying the pickers more, the cost of fuel, et cetera, et cetera. They didn't sit still because of the inflation. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a few more minutes. But basically, you start, and then one gal that asked the question, how do I start? You just start now. You know what you have going on. Write it down, and it doesn't have to be. My stuff is all. I'm a farmer. My stuff is all on yellow tablets. My 10-year plan from 20 years ago is on a yellow tablet. It wasn't called a business plan. It was just called let's sell the wife on this farming plan. Now we did a financial plan for a long time. Now we've changed with the times, and what I have every year is Colette, and you guys are going to like this. It's a financial sustainability plan. Something I picked up from you girls. but it's basically the same thing. The advantage that we have as farmers is that it's an advantage and disadvantages, is that our winters are usually pretty slow. We don't create a lot of income during this time of year. Definition, we don't really work really hard this time of year. At least I don't have to. So I have the opportunity to go back and evaluate what happened the previous season. I go into every year with a plan telling me, what my prices are going to be, what my volume is going to be, and after 20 years, and now the berries are pretty consistently producers, I have a pretty good idea of what they're going to produce each year. So I have a plan in place, and I have the winters. I have this January, February period to go back, evaluate last year's plan, what worked, what didn't work, what do I need to do differently, and make a plan for next year.